I don't actually know if I ever want to have a company as big as my last company. I don't know if I want to try to strive for $1 billion company. Today it's on my mind. I wanted to do something more unedited, unfiltered. While I love highly edited videos, it's something I think it takes away from having a good conversation. I think we're missing that in today's culture is real conversations. And normally when I'm having a cigar, I'm with a friend and or friends, and we like to have conversations. And that's one of the beauty of cigars, fellowship. And so if I'm by myself right now, I'm typically very introspective, so I want to share my thoughts with you, what I've been thinking about today. It's Sunday. Sundays I'm always very introspective. I'm always very analytical of the prior week. I'm planning the next week, so it's a day of rest and a day of that my mind can plan and analyze. And I've really been thinking about the journey. This weekend marked 8 weeks of me selling my company, and it was an incredible journey. Growing a company from zero to, at its peak, we were actually doing $307 million, which is incredible. And that's an ARR, so annual recurring revenue, meaning that our highest month of sales annualized over a 12-month period produces $307 million of revenue at the end of the year. We were evaluated because we were in an interesting industry. To give you a little more background, actually, we had built the Uber of healthcare staffing. So we essentially built the Uber model of matching a rider and a driver with a nurse in a hospital. So we had an app that matched nurses and clinicians to hospitals and nursing homes, just like Uber matches riders and drivers. So we built that model, and we launched it back in 2016. And it actually came out of me being in my freshman year of college. My father and my family have been in the staffing industry for 20 plus years, so they were in the industry knowing the ins and outs, and there was nothing automated, no technology. And I remember I ordered 1 bottle of ketchup to my dorm. And at the time, as a college freshman, I was still on my father's Amazon account, and he called me and he was like, "Why did you order 1 bottle of ketchup?" Like I said, it was a big bottle of ketchup. And I said, "Well, I'll get it in 1 to 2 days, and I don't need to leave my apartment, and it's great." And he hung up the phone and was like, "Why can't we order a nurse the same way we order a bottle of ketchup?" At the same time, he was using Fandango to buy tickets for movies. We were using Shipped to buy groceries and deliver them to our house. So there was already this gig economy was coming around. This was again 2015, 2016, end of 2015. And my father comes from an engineering background. He actually studied computer engineering in the 80s, so he knew that computers were the future, but he hadn't used it in 20, 30 years. He had gotten to the staffing industry right out of college and worked his way up to where he was owning an actual agency where he was a middleman between the hospital and nurses. So the hospitals would contact him and say, "Hey, we actually need 20 nurses this weekend. Help us out." And he'd have to call individually these nurses, take 1 phone call, and it would turn into sometimes up to 30 phone calls just to confirm and book 1 shift over usually a week period. Because you'd book the shift, and even 24 hours before the shift, you had to call them again and confirm. And if they canceled it, you had to call another nurse and start the whole process over again. So it's all these phone calls just to send 1 nurse to a hospital or 1 nurse to a nursing home. And he was like, "Why can't we give more control to the facilities, give more control for the nurses?" And we ended up building what was called the Gale app. We named it after Florence Nightingale. Florence Nightingale was the founder of modern nursing. We took the last part of her name, Gale. My involvement as a young man and freshman in college, my background's actually in marketing. I actually started branding and marketing before YouTube was really a huge thing. Back in 2008, I taught myself video editing in Adobe Suite, and I was actually editing a lot of Call of Duty content. I had a popular YouTube channel. I was an editor, and I actually ended up editing for Optic Gaming and FaZe Gaming when they were in the Call of Duty phase before they got into the Fortnite and the rest of that stuff. And I was making a couple $100 a week as a 11, 12-year-old kid editing for these 20-year-old men. And I learned that it was how you made a video, it's how you caption the video, the thumbnail. I was designing logos. I taught myself 3D modeling, and I learned that there was something to more than just the business. There's a creative element, and I'm always been drawn to the creativity side of business. And so I was drawn to marketing. So my father came to me with this idea. I was like, let's do it. And I took over the branding and the marketing element. So I created the logo, helped create the name, the original branding, the color scheme, the mission, vision, value statement, how we were positioned in the market. Luckily for us, we were the first to market, so there was nothing like that. We had nothing to compare it to, which is sometimes difficult. When you're the first to market, it's actually more difficult because you're creating a whole new industry versus already having people in the space. It's good to have competitors in the space. And we ended up building the app, and we launched it in 6 months. We hired a developer off of Fiverr from China, and he helped us build the app. We scrapped it together. We ended up spending about $100K to build this, and it wasn't beautiful. It wasn't pretty. And we never built the company to sell and become a billion-dollar company or become a multi-hundred-million-dollar company. We literally built this app idea to solve our own problems of sending a nurse to a hospital. So we didn't even think, we had no idea it was going to be as big as it got. When we originally started the company, we already had about 200 nurses on payroll, and at any given time, we probably had 20 working. So we had 200 people we already could beta test with. We could send them the app, and we had about 5 clients in Florida where we were at that we could call and say, hey, we have this new software where you're interested in trying it. So we immediately already had beta users and beta testers and people we were able to build and iterate on and test our concept, which is really key with a lot of founders nowadays, especially building software. They'll build something, they'll build an idea without actually having a concrete need in mind, whether it's their own problem. And I made a video about this before. It's like, what are you actually solving? And then can you go out and test that idea, test that problem before you spend millions of dollars and lots of time and years trying to perfect the perfect solution? So we were able to test with our 200 nurses, we test with our 5 clients, take their feedback, make a little change, go back, and from the moment we launched the company, we started this feature request thing, and we actually had, at any given moment for the 8-year journey of our startup, 200 different things people wanted inside of the app, and we never got that list down because we'd solve a couple of them and a couple more we added to it. So we always had about 200 things people wanted, but we were listening to our clients, we were listening to our nurses, and we built a beautiful solution. The app allowed us to grow from 200 nurses to ended up over 80,000 nurses, and we went from just Florida to all over the United States. We were in all 48 states other than Hawaii and Alaska, and it was an incredible journey. Ended up growing. We hit 100 million revenue after 4 years. We doubled every single year. And we doubled, hit 100 million after 4 years. And then from 4 years to 8 years, we went up to 307 million. It was a different journey. And we ended up scaling from me, my dad, and one other employee when we first started to when we had 100 million revenue. We had, I want to say, around, we launched in 2016. We hit 100 million in COVID. COVID had this huge surge because everyone needed nurses. And pre-COVID, right beginning of 2020, we had about 80 employees, went fully remote. Interesting story in that we had FEMA contacting us 3 months before COVID was actually announced in the United States because they knew we had nurses, we had a scheduling software, and we had a payroll software built in. So they knew we could place, track, and pay healthcare professionals with our software. So we were in talks with the government back in end of December, beginning of January, and it wasn't announced to the United States until March. So we had actually a 3-month head start getting our whole company moved remote, and we were positioned ready to go, had our nurses ready to go, and we fully hit the ground running when COVID hit, providing nurses to all across the United States, testing centers, and you name it, we had nurses there. And because of the massive growth we had to hire, we ended up growing from COVID to 2024. So the next 4 years, we grew from 80 employees to 750 internal employees. And that's when we scaled rapidly. But with rapid scaling, massive problems come into play. So the journey became very messy, and it honestly wasn't as fun as at the beginning. You know, a lot of builders will tell you that at the beginning part, the building part's the most fun. Once you cross 50 million in revenue, every decision has a large impact, and now employees you hire, the culture you create, the product you're building, the service you're building, it just matters so much more, and the complexity and the difficulties really come into play. And my role went from marketing and building the original marketing team and building out the advertising and recruitment engine, and it got into a product. I actually realized that our marketing, I actually implemented programmatic AI advertising before AI was even a buzzword. There was a company called Jovio that was using AI to buy and place ads on job boards before AI was really a thing back in 2021. And then I realized that our advertising was all over the place. We had all these different budgets, all these different resources we were using, but it wasn't centralized, and we weren't making decisions based on data. Got with this partner, ended up over doubling the amount of nurses applying on a weekly basis. We were averaging about 700. After I implemented the programmatic advertising, we went to about 1,600 on average, to good weeks to about 2,000 nurses applying a week. But then you have 2,000 nurses applying a week, and our company would W-2 hire that nurse. We would actually really hire a nurse. After W-2 hiring that nurse, it's not an easy process. You're not a contractor. You're actually applying for a little job. And for nursing, there's all these different credentials and documents needed. So that process was taking us, we had a manual process of taking about 30 days to do this. And we're using our own in-house software that we built just to track these documents. So I realized I could send 2,000 nurses to our apply portal, but if we can't hire 2,000 in a week, then we're wasting these nurses' time. So I actually realized we needed to redesign our whole application funnel and our whole application software to get that time to hire and bring it down, so that way we can actually then increase the marketing funnel, increase the sales funnel, the acquisition funnel. And that moved me from a marketing role into more of a product role. And it took a year to redesign the whole application system, because again, the larger the company, the slower things are. You can't build as quickly anymore. And we built a brand new hiring process that we modeled after TurboTax. So if you've ever done your taxes in the United States, on TurboTax is a very easy approach. And again, with technology, you don't have to recreate the wheel. You just need to take what works and change it for your use case. So the TurboTax model works for your taxes, and so we modeled that for a nurse getting hired with her credentials and her documentation. It was a very easy process with the user flow and the sign-up flow. And the nurse was able to self-hire herself versus talking to an employee. And coming back high level, I'm getting granular. My role went from marketing to now I realized I was in the experience realm. I cared about the experience of that nurse getting into the company, the experience of the customer service, the experience of her day-to-day life, the experience of our clients, the hospitals and nursing homes. How are they using the technology? And so my role changed, and now the marketing guy is trying to update the app. Can't have that. So now with Dynamics and HR and Teams, I moved my title and moved positions, hired a replacement for myself, and I moved into the Chief Experience role. So I became involved in the experience. It was a larger, broader title. It allowed me to touch not only marketing, but also the sales, also the product and the tech side, as well as the customer service side. And I was able to help re-engineer our internal processes to better serve our nurses. Many things, I could spend a whole video about the little initiatives that I implemented in the company that helped us scale. Past just redesigning the software, I also implemented different systems. Like we were on multiple different tracking systems to do our job, like project management softwares. We had 3 CRMs tracking data, task management softwares, communication software. We were doing Google Chats over here, Slacks over here. And one of my projects when I first came onto the experience role was centralizing all of this into one internal platform that all of our communications came into, all of our data came into, all of our project management software came into. So we all remotely, as a 700-person workforce, could all tap into one software versus logging into 3 to 4 different things. And that was, again, a year-long journey. And it started when we had about 400 employees, and it didn't finish until we probably had about 600. We scaled rapidly even during that time that I was implementing those softwares and changing the company's processes. But again, that's a whole nother video as well, talking about process management and change inside of a company. And what made me want to talk about this today is because I'm going to start talking about my journey and what I've learned in business. I like to say that I got an MBA in the 8 years. I didn't need to go get an MBA. I actually got an MBA in real life, just building a company from zero to 307 million. Our valuation was at 375 million at its peak, and that was, again, we could have got a way higher valuation, but we were doing it was based on revenue, because we were bordering a marketplace and a tech evaluation, but which is like a 14 times multiplier on revenue. But then we were also looked at by the industry as a staffing company, since we were staffing nurses still. So our valuation, we went very conservative, and we got the staffing valuation, which was like 1 times EBITDA or 2 times EBITDA. And because, again, that's something that I've learned, that you don't want to, just for the sake of investments and evaluations, you don't want to take the largest investment ever or the highest evaluation if you don't need it, because it can actually hurt your company. And that's another point to make is, we bootstrapped the company. My father and myself, we bootstrapped the company from 0 to over 250 million revenue. So it wasn't until years 5 that we started the conversation. We started the conversation on year 4 for raising money. We didn't raise any money for the first 4 years. We just completely took profits from the company and reinvested it back in. We had 0 burn rate, which a lot of tech companies nowadays, burn rate means that they're burning their cash, and they're burning through cash at a loss to try to build the company, hoping in the future they'll have a positive revenue, which is a very basic, tech startup play, but it doesn't really work. And investors, you want to make money. We believed in producing revenue and making money, and we had a variety of different ways of making money past just booking that nurse to the hospital. We had built different leverages inside of the technology. For example, when we paid a nurse every single day. And just like in Venmo, where you want your money instantaneously, there's a small fee. So we even built in this 99-cent, $1 check fee. So if you wanted to get paid instantly, which is one of our biggest technology and one of our biggest branding competitive advantages versus our competitors when they did start popping up, was we paid our nurses daily, literally within minutes after their shift. And we built that proprietary software to work with the vision of our company. But we charge you 99 cents every time we paid you daily. You can get your money on a Friday if you wanted. Wait 5 days or wait 2 weeks, and have nothing. But literally, of the 80,000 nurses that we had signed up and working, the moment that we exited, only 1 nurse opted and said, "I don't want the money instantaneously. I don't mind waiting 2 weeks for my paycheck." And every other nurse, literally every other nurse, 79,999, wanted their money instantaneously and gave you $1 every single time. And that ran up a beautiful, beautiful amount of revenue that just added to the bottom line of the company. But I digress. We ended up we did 1 round of funding. We raised $60 million in 2021. And again, we didn't really need the money. We raised it because we wanted to just put gasoline on the fire and hire better talent. And we used that money to attract and hire. And a lot of times, investments is not just money. It's just what do they bring to the table, what partnerships do they have in their network, as well as it is a great PR boost to attract and find better talent. So we were able to find some really, really amazing people that came on board, some from Google, some from Bank of America, some really big corporate backgrounds that helped us just re-engineer our whole technology and take our tech from the next level, because we really didn't. It wasn't a beautiful technology. We went 4 years. It looked like an MVP. We just kept kind of iterating, but it didn't look like beautiful. Like now, I think now, it's only been 8 years, but since we've used so many different products and so many different services, we expect a certain level of an app or a website to look a certain way when we're using it. Tech needs to look a certain way now. It can't be so crude anymore as it could have been maybe 8-10 years ago when you're first starting. So MVPs need to look a little better now, but I wouldn't spend so much time perfecting the perfect look, because you can iterate on the fly, and that's a whole rabbit hole that I can dive into in terms of MVP and product and the dance between having the features you need but also trying to impress. And the journey was incredible. I mean, I think I'm gonna I'm just talking out my thoughts right now with the cigar, and I'm curious, whoever watches this video, if there's any questions specifically that you might have for me that I can dive into, that might give me some guidance on what I should dive into, because I have a couple ideas in terms of different segments on like tools we use to grow that we use and failed, like we tried different things and didn't work. Systems that we use, whether it was hiring systems or processes, maybe even customer service that we used that, and again, what worked, what didn't work as we scaled. The use of offshore talent in the remote economy. You don't have to hire all your employees next door. You can work and have employees working remote in other countries. What is that dance between having, if you need a new somebody to help you in a role, what is that dance between hiring them remote or hiring them internal, or even hiring them as a contractor for a period of time on a project? So it's like I have a lot of different ideas around scaling and growing a company that's not just marketing or branding. I think right now on social media specifically, there's enough branding gurus, there's enough marketing experts that talk a lot about the branding and the social media element, and that's great, and that's their niche. I don't think my niche is, and my expertise is really on the branding and marketing, even though I have an eye for it. Right now I'm consulting for a company that is a heavily branded project. I'm helping a med spa clinic they want to go virtual and go direct to consumer, and they want to become more of a telemedicine company online and less have physical locations as they scale. So I'm helping them re-engineer their whole branding and their whole website process, customer service journey, checkout flow, and as well as the social play and the branding play on how they're going to differentiate themselves, because there's so many different telemedicine and telehealth companies out there. So, in my background, I do have a keen eye for branding and positioning and leveraging, creating and actually acting on strategy to execute your goals. But again, I would like to spend some time talking about the nitty gritty, what people don't talk about. Like I said, there's enough gurus on marketing and branding, but people don't talk about the hard stuff of building a business. And the guys who do build good businesses, at least what I've seen on social media, this might come off the wrong way, but there's almost like real businesses and there's like social media businesses. A man or woman who makes a couple $1 million selling a digital course, that's way different than building a product and scaling it to millions in revenue and selling it for millions of dollars. Like it's just a different process. Like you have to hire people, and there's HR, and it's just way different than you as a solo entrepreneur leveraging an audience on social media to sell a course and getting people into a course. Yes, you might make some millions of dollars, but it's a completely different business model, and it's a completely different lesson and challenges that you face to scale that company. Hopefully you don't hear this bird it's loud right now. It's whining. That was a huge fail. I think you might have saw that. I ashed on myself. You want to keep the ash as long as possible, and let's see if I can grab it and put it. Oh well, it's all good. That's why I was keeping it up, because you want to keep the ash as long as possible. It's just like an old cigar technique. But I had some people asking me questions about my story, and it's a little bit of high level. The journey is, to go into detail, I think maybe one of my takeaways from this, because I'm just chatting with you, is it's not easy building a very large company. And I think you should have clear intentions and clear goals on what you want out of a company. And there's really two kinds of companies. There's lifestyle businesses and there's acquisition companies. So there's the lifestyle businesses, your goal is never to sell or be acquired, which is what we did. It is to build a business that produces enough revenue that you can pay yourself a nice lifestyle and live a nice lifestyle, support your family, support your employees, and maintain a business as long as you want, and you pull cash flow out of it. And that's actually how we started. We were a lifestyle family-owned business that we wanted to create a better lives for ourselves as a family and support our friends and our family that were working for us. And then as it started to scale rapidly, we realized, okay, we have something here that we can grow and possibly sell to somebody else. Like there might be something here past the lifestyle business. And that's something to think about. It's like, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be set in stone on like, I want to make $1 billion company and sell it. It might be good to focus on a cash flow business, a lifestyle business that produces, 6 figures a month, and you pay yourself a nice salary. That way you can support your family or future family, and you can start saving cash and building a little nest egg, and then getting your feet wet in the concept of business. Not everybody is supposed to have $1 billion company. I don't actually know if I ever want to have a company as big as my last company. I don't know if I want to try to strive for $1 billion company. I don't. It's just a different headache. It's a different challenge. It's an HR and legal nightmare. I could have a whole series on HR and legal stories and what not to do and what happened to us that would blow your mind. Growing to 700 employees, it's a lot. There's a lot of different dynamics and people and egos and problems and theft, and people steal from you and people lie and cheat. And you would think it would never happen in my company, but it does. People, human behavior is very interesting. It's not perfect. We are not perfect human beings. And we all have our own ulterior motives and our own goals. And you can hire, even at the executive level, there's things that happen that you just out of your control. And business is all about, taking those hits and that football analogy is it's how when you get hit, how quick do you get back up and run continue playing. And it's business is the same way. It's like, ask yourself, do you want to sell a company and scale it and grow it? Because it's a different strategy, and you can move your strategies. You can start lifestyle and then get into acquisition or an exit. But I think having an understanding of both different types is important, because again, it helps you plant a North Star. Because if you have no vision or no mission or no goal for yourself, it's hard for a company to grow. It's like an example of working out. If you have no goal of how you want to look, then your working out's almost like pointless. Like you're just working out with no goal, no intention. It's like, there's a famous quote that I love, I think from Thomas Edison, is a vision without a plan is an hallucination. And it's like, that's powerful when you think about it. You want to have a goal. The goal can change as well, but in the beginning you want to have a goal. Lifestyle, I want to have cash flow. I want to make 10K a month, 100K a month, and be able to pay myself a nice salary, keep my expenses, moderately low, and keep my team as low as possible. Or do you want to get into the scale route for an acquisition or an exit? And that requires a whole different level of cash flow, a whole different level of hiring strategy, a whole different level of marketing and branding exposure and awareness needed. Raising funds and investments. Business is beautiful. Business is its own art form. It is a dance of human behavior. I think one of the greatest skills you can have as a business owner and a business leader is emotional intelligence and empathy. Being able to relate to your employees, relate to your customers, relate to your even competitors, relate to your investors, relate to your family, your friends, the people around you, relate to your spouse, and understand, not just relate, but also understand them. And that's one of my biggest growth, I think, came over the 8 years, not just in business sense. Like, it wasn't business knowledge that I grew the most. It was the internal and external awareness, the emotional intelligence, the empathy that grew, the ability to be a true leader. My leadership abilities grew because I wasn't the best leader, if I'm honest, in the beginning. If any of my former employees or coworkers are watching this video, you might attest that I wasn't the best boss or coworker in the beginning of the journey. I was very young. I was in the middle of college as we started this. I was, more hot-headed, more. I'm very much type A person, very direct, and I didn't know how to relate different personality types to different communication levels and communication skills, because I saw the world through my lens, and I figured everybody else saw the world through my lens as well. And when I spoke or communicated, I thought we were all communicating on the same playing field. In reality, is we're not. We all see the world slightly differently based on different communication styles, personality types, and one of the greatest things that we did early on, I want to say after we crossed about 40 employees, was we had every employee go through a personality test, not as a prerequisite to get hired, because that's kind of like one of those gray areas of HR no-nos. You can't use, there's things, there's personality tests you can do, but you can't use it as a way to not hire somebody. But after they were hired, we had you go through a personality test so that we understood who you were better. And when everybody was in the office prior to COVID, we had an office in Florida. We had everybody's name on their desk, and we had their personality letters written next to their name. So as you walked by, if you sat down with somebody and you had to have a quick little meeting or conversation, you were able to check their communication style, personality type, and quickly, hopefully, use that information to frame your conversation in a better way that both parties would succeed after that meeting. And it's something I recommended to my current clients, my past clients recently, because I have done some consulting work over the last year. Just on the side, because again, I love business creation, the building aspects. So I've helped some friends and family and friends of friends start their businesses. And I recommend a personality test early as possible, because again, it helps you understand who you're talking to, even as with co-founder to co-founder, not just with you and employees, but also you and the other owners of the company if there's more than one owner. It's great to see, yes, we might have the same vision for the company or the same goal for the company, but you might attack it in a different way because of how you see and how you communicate with the world, whereas I might be a little bit different. And so it's good to be on that same playing field. Understanding who you're talking to, who you're working with is so crucial, and it's what I've learned the most, I want to say, over the last 8 years, and what I'm still learning. If you claim to know, now I'm getting into my thoughts on the social media gurus and the business gurus and all the people who sell courses. If you claim to know something, that's like the first step of saying you're not, like the first step to know that person's not wise, because the wise person will tell you, I don't know everything, because the more you know, the less you know. So if somebody's like, I know the secret to this, let me tell you, it's like, there's no way that person knows the secret of that, because if the person really did know the secret, they would learn and understand that they actually don't know. There's so much more to that secret, because again, the more you know something, the less you actually know. I will never claim to be an expert on something. That might sound, again, oxymoron, because there's so many experts in the field now. I am a student of business. I am a student of life. I don't want to claim to be an expert. I want to claim to be a student, because I myself am still learning every single day. I'm still very heavily involved in the business space, in listening to what's out there, what's coming in the tech world. Because I love technology. I love business in the startup world specifically as well. What is AI going to be doing right now? How are people using AI? Because I'm continuously learning. I'm not claiming to know how to do marketing or branding or product design or tech design or customer service, because things change rapidly now. I mean, even more so now than it did even 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Things were slower to change. Now things can change in a week. A whole new technology can come out in a matter of days now and completely change how we were supposed to do something in the past. So you have to be very nimble and agile. Listening to, I think, the Google CEO, Eric Schmidt, I believe it was a podcast or a conference he did a couple months ago. And I even think Sam Altman was asked the same question, and he gave a similar answer. And there's been multiple very intelligent business leaders from the older generation that are watching what's happening right now and the scale of change. And when asked, how can what's some advice you give to the next generation, of the young generation, the ones that are going to be coming into business in the next couple of years? What's the greatest skill they can learn? What's the greatest thing they can learn in school? Come here, Ruby. And they all say adaptability and the ability to change, the ability to learn. Adaptability and curiosity are going to be the two biggest strengths that an individual can have to compete and stay on top of the business world and the world as a whole as it continues to move forward and progress at a rapid rate. Very good cigar. Again, Oliva. There's no Ia. It's Oliva. consistently good cigars. I got this as a gift for my birthday. Consistently great cigars. They're smooth. They're not too, heavy. A good daytime cigar right now. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's not, a really heavy cigar, but it's light enough to have during the day. If it's a little earlier, I have a little coffee with it right now. It's slowly raining outside. It's beautiful right now today. I've been talking for some time now. But yeah, I think part of this too, to tell you more of my why, why am I talking on YouTube about this? It's not for any fame. I don't want to ever be known. I really don't want to ever be famous on social media. If I had 100 followers on online platforms and stayed at that and had 100 people watch my videos and engage with me, I'd be a happier man. I don't want 1,000, 10,000 views. Because I think what I want out of life is to continue to be a mentor to different people. Right now, I've been mentoring high school students for the last 5 years, from freshman year up to senior year. I followed with these kids till they graduated. Now I'm going back down to freshmen. I think my passion in life is not business. It is not making money. It's helping other people. And why I'm doing this and why I'm using social media now, I want to share what I know now. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm not claiming everything. For the next generation to possibly learn from my mistakes and themselves be better at what they're doing, have a better chance. If I can help somebody make a small change and that helps them grow spiritually, mentally, physically, grow their business, then I can die a happy man. So I would like to find more people that I can mentor, anywhere from, I would say, 18 to 25, who specifically are interested in business growth, but is also spiritual and mental growth as well. Please let me know. Reach out to me, call me, or send me a message or comment, and I'll give you my number, and we can chat. Because that's what I want out of this, is I don't want followers. I don't want to make money on my social media accounts. I'm never going to sell a course. I'm just going to share my thoughts and hopefully find some more people that I can make an impact on. Because I thought about this the other day. I'm going to make a video about this on my short form account. Maybe even a long form video just on this topic of legacy as a man. I believe we all want to have a legacy as a man in some facet of life. And building a business is not really a legacy. Legacy comes from your family and the people you impact. Because what can you bring with you to the next stage in life, the next phase? Like, what can you bring when you pass away? Nothing. You bring nothing with you other than your memories. And some might argue you don't bring your memories. I think you do. But then what do you leave the world? Because nothing stays, you could be a great man and have built a net worth of $100 million and put it all in your trust, and your grandkids lose it all by the second generation and sell out your homes and your house. I love thrifting, and I go to estate sales all the time. And I walk into a beautiful home, somebody passed away, and there's beautiful things in this home, pieces of art, relics, collectibles, an old car in the garage, and nobody in the family wanted it, and so they just auctioned it off. It just makes me think it's like, you could spend your whole life accumulating things and wealth, and ultimately your family just not even want it, and then somebody else buys it for next to nothing, and then the cycle repeats itself. And so what is the only thing that you can actually leave in this world is the impact you leave on other people. So it's the memories you create for yourself and the memories you create for other people or with other people. And I've been having these thoughts, because I just sold my company, and I'm in the eyes of many people very successful at a young age. My family is set for life. My future family is set for life. But I still I don't still feel fulfilled in the spiritual sense, because I know I'm not done impacting people around me. And that's what drives me, is the thought of legacy past anything materialistic in this world. I don't want a nicer car. Once you have one fun car, you don't want another one, you know? I mean, I've met guys with 30, 40 cars, and you can only drive one at a time, and you end up selling all the other ones. And then, you know, it's like, I have two fun cars right now. I have an old car and a new car. And my new car is my daily, and my old car is my fun car. And that's it. But I would sell those cars tomorrow if I needed to help somebody. If I really needed the money, I would sell it. I wouldn't be attached to them. You know, and if I gave it to my kids and he sold it, I wouldn't be upset about it. I mean, I saw a video on social media. I don't know how true it is, but Mr. Wonderful, the guy from Shark Tank who collects watches, he wears like sometimes one on each hand or sometimes two on each. Like, he just loves wearing his watches. He talks about how he's not giving his watch collection to his kids because he wants to be buried in his whole watch collection. And it's like, that's so silly, because give them to your kid will keep them, and maybe he sells them. Like, ultimately, like, nothing on this earth is yours. Like, that's like a biblical principle. Like, it's somebody else. Like, this home that we're living in, this is my family's home right now, spending a weekend with them. Maybe I keep it in my portfolio and my grandkids have it, but eventually this house will be inhabited by somebody else. Maybe it's 20 years from now. And then the cycle repeats itself. You know, my car that I'm driving, the clothes that I wear might be thrifted by somebody else. I think this shirt was thrifted. And it's like, you might know that I'm, as the kids say, yap. I do like talking. I have the gift of gab. I've been a talker since I was a young child. But for the ones who have listened, I appreciate you. I hope something stands out from what I've been sharing. I would love, you know, anything that you've thought about, again, just let me know, please. Leave a comment. Let me know. I would love to expand on any of the topics I mentioned about growing a company, or my philosophy on life and business and legacy, you know, family. It's a beautiful life that we live. Have a cigar every now and then. It's okay to have a nice cigar. It's okay to relax and have days of stillness. Again, it's biblical to have a Sabbath, have a day of rest, mental rest, physical rest. Recuperate your mind, recuperate your body, rest your spirit. Spend time with family more. Have these thoughts on what do you want out of your life, and have boundaries around your work, have boundaries around your materialistic goals. Part of my story was working, you know, as we grinded and scaled, like I was working 100, 120 hour weeks, and it wasn't just this, you know, social media, like 100 working, like I would literally wake up at 8 a.m. and in my clothes, like in my morning routine, like I would just go to my computer and get on it, check on my employees, and start working that immediately. And I worked from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. without one meal, without even getting up. If I used the restroom, it was I'm emails in the restroom. Back at it. 8 p.m. had my first meal from 8 to about 9:30ish. I take about like a 2-hour break, and then go back on the computer from 10 to midnight. Sometimes 10 to 1. Go to bed about 1ish, and wake up and sleep from 1 to 8. One meal a day, working all day long, is horrible for your mental, physical, spiritual health. Like there's nothing can grow in your life other than work, and even then your work starts to suffer because you're just so focused, and you miss different things. You miss, you know, the beauty of life, and you miss the enjoyment of the building process. It wasn't until we actually started really, you know, growing, and my own personal growth came when I Told myself I'm not going to start work until I have an hour of quiet time before I got into work. Now we're getting into my, spiritual journey a little bit, but I want to make that its own video, talking about the importance of faith and God and believing in something bigger than yourself. Because, again, just believing in the material eventually fades. It's easy to get lost in the grind, hustle culture, social media. I myself encounter all this. Like, one of the guys I was mentoring, he's 19 now, but when he was 17, he was like, I feel behind. And he had a business, and he was selling on Amazon, but he also tried 5 different things because he's like, I see all this. Hey, babies, come here. Hey, come here. Piper, it's okay, baby, it's okay. That's a bird. The point I'm making is he was seeing all these videos of 18-year-old with $1 million, 18-year-old with driving a Lamborghini. I'm doing 5 side hustles and passive income streams and drop shipping, and there's like all these different, again, gurus claiming they're doing 5 different things, copywriting, and it's like you can't do 5 different things, honestly. And there's no business is passive, not even real estate. Everything requires effort and mental effort, and nothing is truly passive. And I was running I was running 2 businesses at one time, and I helped launch this company back in college. Did it throughout college. The moment I graduated college, my senior year, I also started a physical retail-based, therapy clinic back in 2018. Before it was popular, I had a cold and hot therapy with a sauna. Hey, Ruby, come here, baby. Ruby, come on. And I was trying to run 2 businesses at one time, running the marketing and running the marketing team at Gale, and then also running my own completely different business with a retail location, physical location, having clients come in to do the cryotherapy, sauna, and it was a headache having 2 businesses. I make the joke all the time, different guys that I talk to, Ruby, you can't have 2 girlfriends in life, you can't have 2 wives, you can't have 2 businesses, one will suffer. You can try to have 2 girlfriends, but eventually it will blow up in your face. Try to have 2 businesses at the same time, if one of them has to suffer, you can't give 100% energy to both. It's just physics. It's science. You don't have 200% energy. You have 100%, and your time. You have 100% of your time. You can't try to do 2 things and excel at both at the same time. It's going to be mediocre. Again, it's a joke, and fitness. It's not really a joke, but it's another fact. It's hard to prioritize building muscle and getting really strong at the exact same time, or building muscle and getting lean at the same time, because you can do both at the same time, but one's got to be focused more, and then they're both not going to be grow at the exact same rate. So if you're trying to get really strong, you're going to build more muscle, and if you're trying to build muscle, you're going to get stronger, but you'd get so much stronger if you dedicated all your energy into getting strong. So much bigger physically if you dedicated all your energy to growing muscle. So much more lean and shredded if you dedicated all your energy into getting lean and shredded versus trying to also build muscle during that time to also get stronger. So it's like we, in our society, of trying to do so much at once, where we're doing all these different things, and so everything's kind of growing slowly. Maybe one's growing a little more than the others, but it's not growing at the full potential it can because it doesn't have the energy and the time dedicated to it. It's just another word of wisdom. Be clear in your goals and try to focus on one thing at a time and take it day by day. I don't want to ash it, but I'm going to ash it now before having another. Now it's time for the wrapper to come off. This is about an hour-long cigar. Probably could have smoked it a little quicker if I wasn't talking the whole time. It would have probably been about a 45-minute cigar. Beautiful. Hope you guys have a great weekend, a great week. I'm going to close this video out. It's been 52 minutes now. I don't think I'm going to edit any of this. I think I'm just going to post it. I don't want to chop it up. I don't want to do too much crazy editing. I just want to have a normal conversation with you guys. And if one person watches this, I hope you have a better day because of it. God bless you. Till the next time we chat.